So we're living in this really weird moment, aren't we? With dating, I mean. We've got, like, endless choices literally at our fingertips. Millions of people out there searching online. It's like this huge supermarket of people.
How? Sounds great on paper, right? But honestly, for so many of us, it just leads to feeling tired or disappointed, like really struggling to find a real connection. It can get pretty overwhelming, actually, almost detached.
Oh, absolutely. It's a huge paradox. And online dating, well, it's everywhere now. The numbers are pretty staggering. Something like over 30% of American adults have tried dating apps. And look, there are amazing success stories. You hear about Bumble matching, 850 million couples, and leading to thousands of marriages, maybe 5,000 or so. That's significant. But there's this hidden cost, too. This almost an epidemic, you could say. Detached, kind of disengaged dating. People are guarded, showing real vulnerability that often feels like a weakness online.
Yeah, guarded is a good word. And that's exactly what we want to unpack today. We're doing a deep dive into navigating online dating. Tips for finding real connection in the digital world. Our goal here is to figure out how to cut through all that noise, how to actually build something meaningful, and crucially, how to look after yourself while you're doing it. We'll be pulling in ideas from psychology, communication studies, real experiences, basically trying to give you the tools to maybe turn that frustrating scroll into, a path towards something real. So let's start at the beginning. What is this online dating landscape, fundamentally? How has it changed how we connect? It's definitely shifted things, moved us from, face-to-face chats to these quick digital messages, makes finding people based on criteria easier, I guess?
Exactly. Platforms like Bumble, they're basically new spaces for interpersonal communication. That whole process of exchanging ideas, thoughts, feelings, but through a screen. And that digital filter, it changes everything, right from how you first present yourself, your profile, the photos, interests, job details. That initial self-disclosure, as researchers call it, is actually super important. It's how you start getting to know someone, building that initial bit of trust and hopefully love.
Okay, so first impressions are vital. But with that digital filter you mentioned, what are the biggest hurdles? The things that make it feel less like a romance and more like running a maze. Is there one thing you see tripping people up again and again?
Oh, for sure. Several big ones. Mismatched expectations are huge. One person wants casual, the other wants serious commitment. Boom, instant friction. Then there's just the sheer volume of choice. It leads to what the psychologist Barry Schwartz called the paradox of choice, or just plain decision fatigue. Swiping endlessly is exhausting. And communication, oh boy, ghosting is a big one. About 32% of users say they've been ghosted. It leaves you feeling confused, kind of rejected. It's a really common, frustrating pattern.
Okay, let's dig into that profile then. It really is your digital handshake, right? Your first hello. How do you make it actually appealing? Stand out from the crowd, but genuinely.
You've got to think of your profile as an advertisement. Seriously. An ad about your potential as a partner. And let's be really clear. If your photos aren't good, you're just not going to have much success. It's not about looking like a movie star. It's about communication. Good photos signal trustworthiness, approachability. It's a shortcut for the brain. It shows you're authentic, you're engaged. So for the main photo, the first one people see, just you. Clear shot, whole face visible, looking at the camera, ideally smiling. Good lighting, close enough, make sure you look groomed. Then add what I call lifestyle photos. Show your personality, doing things you love, maybe one with a few friends where you're clearly identifiable, of course. What not to do. Shirtless photos for guys, generally not great. Mirror selfies, gym selfies, bathroom selfies avoid. Heavy filters, sunglasses or hats and key photos, nope. Aim for at least 3 photos of yourself. 2 good portraits, one showing your body type clearly, maybe that one group shot. Just make sure you're in every photo of you. And here's a pro tip, check out photofeeler.com. It gives you objective feedback on how your photos come across. Think attractiveness, trustworthiness, smarts. Aiming for a 7+ score isn't vanity. It's about understanding perception. Taking good photos, it's a skill you can learn.
Right, photos are crucial. But what about the words? The bio, the prompts. That's where your personality really comes through, beyond the pictures.
Absolutely critical. Bios and prompts make a huge difference. Users with them get about 4 times more swipes. For the bio itself, be authentic, please. Describe what makes you unique, maybe slightly unusual. Use full sentences, not just a list of adjectives. Be specific. Details make it real. Tailor it a bit, too. Looking for something casual, maybe lean into humor more. Seeking something serious. Focus more on your values, your goals. The aim is to make someone genuinely curious, to want to talk to you. Things to avoid. Negativity is a big one. Cliches, copied lines. Just don't. Limit the, here's what I demand in a partner step to maybe 1 point, max. And crucially, Don't try to please everyone. And definitely don't dump all your emotional baggage in your bio. It's not therapy.
Okay, this next part is fascinating. A lot of people think the profile should scream, "Hey, look at me, get to know me." But some research suggests, well, almost the opposite.
Yeah, this is a really interesting finding from Juliana Schroeder's research. It turns conventional wisdom on its head a bit. Most profiles do focus on wanting to be known, here's who I am. But what Schroeder found is that profiles expressing a desire to know the other person are actually rated as more appealing. Think about it. We feel happiest in relationships when we feel understood, when someone gets us. So profiles that signal, hey, I'm curious about you, I want to understand you, well, they're just more attractive. It's subtle, but really powerful.
Wow, that's a great insight. Okay, so you've done the profile, you've signaled you want to know them, and boom, you get a match. That little notification pops up. What's next? Is there a typical progression, like levels in a game?
There definitely is a kind of flow. It starts with contact, just viewing profiles. Then if you match, you move into involvement. That's the initial chatting phase, exchanging basic info, maybe some jokes, getting a feel for each other. The next big step is familiarity. This usually means moving the conversation off the dating app, maybe to WhatsApp, maybe a voice call, maybe even a video call. That move is crucial. It feels like a more intense approach, a step up. And honestly, it's vital for verifying the person is who they say they are before you even think about meeting up.
But that's where people get stuck sometimes, right? The endless messaging phase, where it feels more like having a pen pal than actually dating.
Exactly. That's the infamous online dating fatigue. It comes directly from that feeling of endless swiping, endless chatting, but nothing ever happens. No actual dates. You need to watch out for what you might call delaying tactics. Sometimes people are simmering or icing, basically keeping the chat going without any intention of meeting soon, maybe unconsciously. To break out of that, be direct. You could say something like, hey, I'm really enjoying chatting, but I find talking on the phone way better for getting to know someone. Here's my number if you're up for it. Or just suggest a specific meetup. Fancy grabbing a drink at your favorite local spot next week. Honestly, a quick phone call can tell you so much about chemistry. It quickly sorts out if an in-person meeting is actually worth your time.
Okay, so for people feeling totally burnt out by this whole process, feeling defeated by the online dating treadmill, what's the advice? Just delete the apps.
Taking breaks is incredibly healthy. It's not failure, it's just a shift in your current approach. It helps you avoid getting totally frustrated or bored. And during those breaks, try to just be open to what's right in front of you in the real world. You know, smile at someone on the train, strike up a conversation in a coffee shop, go to events, even just some banal chit-chat, as they say, can lead somewhere interesting. And don't underestimate your friends. Put your friends on the case. Ask them point blank. Know anyone you think I might click with. They know you, they care about you, they can be great matchmakers.
So let's say you've navigated the apps, maybe met someone, you're past the first date hurdles. How do you actually build something authentic? Move beyond small talk.
This is where the concept of love maps from the Gottman method is so valuable. It's essentially about building a detailed map of your partner's inner world, knowing their hopes, their dreams, their fears, their joys, their stresses, their history, all of it. It requires genuine curiosity, going deeper than, how was your day? It's about really trying to understand what makes them tick. You know, really seeing into them. That deep understanding, that's the bedrock of friendship, intimacy, and lasting passion.
That idea of love maps, really seeing someone, it sounds wonderful, but gosh, it takes courage, especially if you've been burned before. How do you let yourself be vulnerable like that when it feels so risky?
It is risky. Brené Brown talks about vulnerability as facing uncertainty, exposure, and emotional risks. But crucially, knowing that you are enough. Trust isn't instant. It's built slowly, interaction by interaction. Think of the emotional bank account concept, also from Gottman. You make positive deposits when you respond positively to your partner's bids for connection, those little moments where they reach out for attention, affection, or support. When you turn toward those bids with interest and understanding, you build trust. Research showed couples who stayed married turned towards bids something like 86% of the time. Those who divorced, only 33%. So if someone consistently ignores your bids, your attempts to connect, well, that's a pretty strong sign it might not be the right fit.
And what about just appreciating them? It's easy to think nice things, but does that actually build the connection?
Thinking nice thoughts is lovely, but you gotta say them out loud. Expressing fondness and admiration verbally is huge. It actively builds respect and affection, makes the friendship stronger, and apparently it's the best antidote to contempt. Contempt being a major predictor of divorce. So those little quirks, those peccadillos, as Gottman calls them, the things that make you smile about your date, share them. Don't just tell your friends later, tell them. It really strengthens the bond.
Conflict.
Yeah.
Okay, this feels like the big scary one. Like, if you argue, it's over. But you're saying it's normal, maybe even necessary.
Absolutely normal, and how you handle it is key. Research, again from Gottman, shows that about 69% most relationship conflict comes from perpetual problems. These are fundamental differences in personality, values, or lifestyle that probably aren't going to just disappear. The goal isn't to solve them or change the other person. It's to understand where they're coming from, to find ways to talk about these differences without getting stuck. Creating a safe space to discuss disagreements, even early on, is vital to avoid what's called gridlocked conflict, where you just shut down emotionally. How you manage conflict matters way more than what you fight about. Avoiding it altogether, that's actually not safe for the relationship in the long run. You have to learn to navigate it.
Okay, navigating conflict is one thing, but navigating potential danger is another. This path requires being careful. How do we protect ourselves online? Spot trouble early.
Trust your gut. Seriously, that feeling in your stomach is your first line of defense. Pay attention to it. And there's some pretty clear red flags to watch for. One is love bombing. That's like overwhelming affection, grand gestures way too soon, saying you're the one after 2 days of texting, pressuring you to delete your profile. It often feels too good to be true because it might be manipulation. 2, inconsistent communication, going hot and cold, disappearing for days with vague excuses. It messes with your head and signals they aren't really invested or reliable. 3, vague profiles, lack of detail, blurry photos, reluctance to share basic stuff. Could mean they're not serious, or worse, hiding something. Catfishing is real. About 14% of users suspect they've encountered it. 4, extremes in meeting urgency. Either pushing way too hard to meet up quickly in a private place, or constantly avoiding meeting, canceling plans, refusing video calls. Both are suspicious. 5, controlling behavior. Even subtle things like telling you how often you should text, criticizing your profile photos. If they insist on knowing your location constantly for safety, ask yourself if it's really about care or about control. 6, disrespectful messages. Unsolicited explicit pictures or texts, mocking your beliefs, getting aggressive. A Pew study found 60% of younger women get unwanted explicit messages. 0 tolerance. Block, report, move on. And 7, ignoring boundaries. Pushing for info you're not ready to share, like your address or income, making you feel guilty for not replying instantly, ignoring your stated preferences. Boundaries keep you safe. If they're crossed early on, that's a huge warning.
Those are really clear behavioral flags. What about practical safety tips for using the apps, and then the big step, meeting in person?
Okay, practical stuff. Online. Use different photos on your dating profile than on your main social media. It stops people doing easy reverse image searches to find your Facebook or Instagram. Be careful with live photos or videos. Sometimes they contain hidden location data. Watch out for profiles with almost no info or just one photo. Maybe do a quick search for their name or image if something feels off. And never, ever give out super personal info like your social security number, bank details, work, or home address until you've met them multiple times and really trust them. Definitely don't send money, especially if they claim to be stuck overseas. That's a classic scam. Always use the block and report features for anyone suspicious. Now, for meeting in person. Video chat first. Always. It helps verify identity and vibe. Tell a friend where you're going, who you're meeting, send a profile screenshot, and when you expect to be back. Arrange a check-in, text, or call. Meet in a very public place for the first few dates, coffee shop, busy restaurant, popular bar, not their place, not your place, not some isolated park. Have your own way to get there and back. Don't rely on them for transport, especially early on. Watch your drink. Stick to your limits with alcohol. And if you feel uncomfortable or unsafe at any point, trust that feeling. Ask venue staff for help if needed, or just make your excuses and leave. Your safety is number one, period.
We've covered so much about the external world of online dating profiles, messages, safety. But what about our internal world? Our own, personal wiring? How do our attachment styles, the way we learn to connect early on, play into all this?
Attachment theory. Yes, it's hugely relevant here. It really shapes how we experience and react to the whole online dating scene. We can think about it mainly along 2 lines. First, there's anxious attachment. People leaning this way often worry about abandonment. They seek a lot of reassurance. They actually tend to use dating apps more, swipe right more often, start more chats, basically trying to maximize their chances of finding someone. But here's the interesting twist. Studies suggest that despite these anxieties, anxiously attached folks often report higher romantic confidence on apps and perceive more available partners. Maybe it's the sheer volume of options or the validation from crafting that perfect profile. Then you have avoidant attachment. These individuals tend to value independence. They can be uncomfortable with too much closeness or intimacy. They're generally less likely to use dating apps frequently. Or if they do, it might be more for casual things, maybe when traveling, specifically to keep emotional distance. And in contrast to the anxious group, avoidantly attached people tend to report lower romantic confidence on apps and see fewer potential partners. Perhaps they underestimate who's out there, or they just don't engage deeply enough to see the possibilities. So yes, our fundamental way of relating deeply colors our digital dating experience.
Wow. So our inner wiring really does shape the whole experience, doesn't it, for better or worse?
Absolutely. Look, we've covered a lot today, from setting up your profile authentically to navigating those first chats, building real intimacy, and staying safe. The key takeaway: online dating can be a fantastic tool, a real opportunity, but you need to approach it mindfully, authentically, with clear intentions, and always, always vigilant about your safety and well-being. Remember, the goal isn't just racking up matches, it's about finding a meaningful connection where you feel truly seen, understood, and valued.
Swipe smart, stay safe, and stay authentic. That seems to be the message. Whether connection starts with a click or a chance meeting, it really comes down to showing up as yourself, being curious about others, and finding the courage to build trust.
Exactly. So as you think about your own journey, whether online or off, maybe ask yourself this: what's one small shift I could make, starting today, to invite a deeper, more authentic connection into my life?
A powerful question to ponder. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. We really hope this conversation helps empower you to find the real connections you're looking for. Until next time, keep diving deep.